I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, the Yuwut and Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching today's episode.
I think going to therapy is a green flag in dating.
Like total desperation. I just couldn't go on anymore. Then I finally was like, okay, maybe I should talk to someone.
Daily affirmations in the mirror to fight my inner critic and try to turn myself into my own biggest supporter subconsciously. Overall, I think I'm working towards a world where both physical and mental health are treated equally. I think that's ideal.
Welcome to Shit Sparked, the podcast that gets real about addiction, mental health, and everything in between. I'm Paris, and I spent 17 years battling the bottle, 10 years hooked on meth, and I also did a stint in the escorting world, which nearly cost me everything, including my life. With both lived and professional experience, including qualifications in alcohol and other drugs, I'm here to share what I've learned along the way. Every journey is unique, and this podcast brings you stories, insights, and practical tools to help you find what works for you. Now, just a disclaimer, we dive into some tough topics here, including addiction, all forms of abuse, trauma, mental illness, suicide, self-harm, and the realities of life in recovery. These discussions can be intense, so please take care while listening and just make sure you're in the right headspace too. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast. Your support actually helps us more than you know, and it's one of the best ways to keep these conversations going. I hope you enjoy the show. And welcome to the show, Lauren Roche. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And whereabouts are you tuning in from?
DC, East Coast of the US. It's 9:20 p.m. here.
Yes, I am so sorry. We are about a 12-hour difference, so it's 9:20 a.m. for me. It was a bit of a bitch to organize the time for this one.
It's all good though. It worked out.
Oh, it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. So let's just dive straight on in. So can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and what led you to start the Naked Truth podcast?
Yeah. So currently I'm living in DC. I've always lived on the East Coast of the US. I was born and raised in Maryland, right next door to DC. I went to University of Maryland, College Park, close by. I graduated in 2019 with a bachelor's in marketing and business analytics. And then right outside of that, I started consulting with Deloitte, and I was in tech consulting. So I was doing like a bunch of different projects with a bunch of different roles, anything from like product management to product design and innovation. And then after about like 5.5 years there, I quit. So that was in February. I quit to focus all of my energy on building out my own business and wellness brand, The Naked Truth with Lauren, with the mission of transforming the way we approach mental health, mindfulness, and manifestation. So I'm working on building a supportive community that combats the loneliness epidemic and empowers everyone to prioritize their well-being. So specifically, I started the podcast about 1.5 years ago in February of 2024. And this was after I navigated a period of deep depression that stemmed from a bunch of things. It was a combination of moving to a new area, living alone for the first time as an extrovert, and heartbreak. And I took some time to like settle in, find a new therapist, explore mental health medications at the time, and implement like mindfulness routines to basically rebuild my confidence from the ground up. So that included like daily affirmations, meditation, journaling, movement, working out, etc. And then I actually started creating like motivational content on Instagram, and the account was called Mindset at first. And then once I was in a better place, I thought it'd be cool to start a podcast and create like audio and video content this way, with the goal of like helping others feel less alone in their struggles and opening up the conversation around mental health. So then that's when The Naked Truth with Lauren was born.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that, it pretty much spawned from
what you were going through, and it's turned into something where you're wanting to genuinely help other people and to start talking more about these things, because that's the real battle, isn't it? A lot of people find themselves to feel like a bit of a burden, or they feel like it's not important enough or it's not big enough to talk about, and then they just won't, and they won't reach out to anyone.
Yeah, and that's just bad. It just gets worse from there.
Yeah, and that's something that takes a lot of time to understand. I mean, I find that particularly even for men, is that they tend to suppress a lot of things. Like, they don't want to be viewed as weak or vulnerable, so they'll suppress it, and then it'll just start to build up, and it'll layer and layer and layer until they finally explode. And it's usually got some hefty consequences at that point.
Yeah, it's not expressed in a healthy way. We live with a lot of toxic masculinity, and I think men aren't taught to express their emotions in a healthy way, and are taught that, like, expressing certain emotions like sadness and crying, for example, is weak. So they don't, but when you bottle it up, it doesn't go away. You're just like pushing it down, and you're right. One day it's going to build up and explode, and that could be like with violence. Like, that's
Yeah.
why a lot of crimes, I believe, are committed by men, at least in America.
It is in Australia too. We've actually got, it's quite concerning, the rising rates here of domestic violence. Like, and it's very like gender biased, like it is a lot of the time it's men. So it's quite epidemic over here.
Yeah, here too.
So what was the turning point for you when it came to embracing mental health as a topic that needed more open conversation?
So before I struggled with my mental health, my friends and family and I didn't really talk about this topic. And I first struggled my senior year of college, like really bad. And I was embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I felt alone. And then I started to talk to my family and friends. And I realized that most people had experienced similar struggles, and some had been in therapy, like some of my best friends, which I was completely unaware of before. And I was like, huh, okay, that's wild. And then a few years later, when I experienced this period of deep depression, I felt alone again, even though I knew other friends and family members had had similar experiences, but we weren't talking about it often and openly. And so I started to question why we don't talk about mental health as openly as we talk about physical health, even though it seems like everyone has struggled with their mental health at some point because we're all human. So I was like, if we can open up the conversation around mental health, then people will feel less alone and be more willing to seek professional help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually want to throw in another question here. How did you start that conversation? Like, what got you to the point where you realized, hey, I actually might need to talk to someone about this?
It was out of necessity. It was senior year of college. I was taking really hard classes. I was in a really hard class, but I was also just like, there was a bunch of other things going on, like personally, that I was depressed, but I didn't know the terminology. I wasn't diagnosed with it yet, and I hadn't sought professional help. And I was all like, I'm an independent woman. Like, I don't need help with anything. Like, I was all like anti therapy. And then I broke down. I just started crying. I think it was a panic attack, like senior year. And I literally called my mom, and it was like a pick me up, mom. I'm scared. Oh, man.
Oh,
So, yeah, they lived close by, luckily, my parents. So they literally came and picked me up from college and then took me. There was a like emergency student services type like therapy thing on campus.
oh yeah.
So they took me there. And that's when like I first talked to someone, and then my mom opened up about her mental health struggles and her experiences in therapy, and then found me my first therapist. She was super helpful, and then that's what got me going to therapy.
That's really good, because I know for me, like personally, I was kind of forced into it. Like, I had a lot of trauma like growing up, and my parents were very much like, well, shit, like she needs to get some help, like shit's fucked, like let's do something about this. And then like, because I wasn't really wanting to talk to anyone, I was in complete shutdown. I was so traumatized at the time, like I couldn't even really admit out loud like what had been happening like in my life. And it was something that when I got forced into these therapy rooms, I just didn't really say anything. I was just like sitting there, like arms crossed, like, don't want to be here. And I didn't go back. Like, I didn't go back. I was like, that was a waste of time, mom and dad, never going there again. And yeah, I just stormed out. And after that, it kind of became even like a bit of a checkbox for me, like to get people off my back. Like I would just go to therapy, but was I fully showing up to therapy? Was I being 100% honest, like with my psychologist? No, like I wasn't telling her half the shit that I was doing. She didn't know I was on drugs. She didn't know anything. So it was just like, it was kind of like a moot point, really. It didn't actually benefit me in any way because I wasn't ready for it. Like I wasn't ready. I wasn't accepting of it. But then finally, when I got to that point of like necessity, as you said, like total desperation, I just couldn't go on anymore. Then I finally was like, okay, maybe I should talk to someone. But that took a while. That was probably another 10 years later after that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what it is usually. It's like out of desperation or when it comes to a breaking point, but we don't seek it proactively. And I think that's like what I'm trying to change because the more we talk about it and the more we normalize it, it's like, oh, I'm feeling this way. I heard such and such talk about her experience with depression or this person talk about his experience with anxiety. I think this might be like what it is, and I have heard that professional help is necessary, so let me go check it out, you know?
Yeah, and I agree. It's become such a norm in my life now. Like even like in relationships, like when I first met my partner, he'd never seen a psychologist. And then, naturally, we are all human and we've got our shit to work on. And there was a few
Yeah.
things that came up that I was like, you know what, you should probably go see a psychologist for this. Like this might really, help you kind of move through that. I'm very fortunate that my partner is very open. He's very keen to learn. So he was like, yeah, like, all right, like I'll give it a go. And now he's just like fully committed to it. He tells his friends, he's like, get in with a psychologist. It'll help you so much. Like he's such an advocate for it now. And in his circumstance, it wasn't born out of like total desperation or anything. It was literally a simple conversation about what he's been experiencing, how he's been feeling, and then me having the knowledge that I have and being able to say, maybe you should give that a go. And him being open to receiving that feedback and accepting it and actually taking action from it was the big difference. So I think, yeah, generalizing these types of conversations before you get to a breaking point, like avoid the breaking point, get in there early and, start working on that EQ.
Yeah, that's awesome that he was receptive because not everyone would be
No.
receptive to that. And I talk about this. I think going to therapy is a green flag in dating. Like when I'm dating, I either comes up naturally in conversation or maybe sometimes I'll bring it up and it'll be like, "Oh, have you ever gone to therapy?" And if they say no, I'm like, okay." But if they say yes, I'm like, "Yay." Like that means you're open to working on yourself and like personal development and share like similar interests as myself because I'm interested in mental health and personal development.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like even if they haven't like been to a psychologist, if they're open to it, like if they would be willing to give it a go, I think green flag, definitely.
Yeah.
So you've talked about a little bit of your own mental health journey. How did those early experiences shape your views on like self-care and seeking professional help? I mean, we have kind of just touched on this a little bit, but let's go a little bit deeper.
Yeah. As I said, I was very against the professional help. I was all independent woman. Also, like in America, we very much so hype independence. Almost like there's pros and cons, but almost to a fault. And we're like societal creatures. We need each other,
Yes.
to thrive. So you can't do everything by yourself. So it's not realistic, but I like to do a lot of things by myself or be able to. So I was
Of
like,
course.
like I don't need it, blah, blah, blah. And then it was when my mom shared her own experience with depression and in therapy when I was in college So I understood the benefits of therapy more. I understood these concepts and like different types of mental illnesses. And she helped me find my first therapist, which then made me realize it's okay and necessary to seek professional help at times. Then I started to think about, okay, I wasn't really taking care of myself. Like I didn't really focus on self care up until that point. And I just got kind of swept up in our hustle culture, especially like on the East Coast of the US, like big into hustle culture. It's like go, go, go. I was really into getting good grades in school, keeping busy, involved in so many different things like extracurricular activities, jobs, whatever it was. Then, after having that panic attack senior year, I realized I wasn't prioritizing self care and I wasn't taking care of myself like mentally. I hadn't like thought about that before. And then I was like, okay, I need to if I want to get to a better place.
Absolutely. And so throwing in another question here, what was one of the first like kind of self-care tools that you learned that you found like quite effective to implement like immediately?
I would say journaling, and I would say it was introduced to me like before therapy. For some reason, I've like really liked journaling from a young age. I think I had like little diaries here and there when I was growing up, so I would just like write in them, and then on and off throughout my childhood, I would be writing and journaling, and then when I experienced like big struggles with mental health, journaling helped me process my emotions.
Yeah, I found for me like I struggle with journaling so bad. I don't know what it is. I find it so therapeutic though. Like as soon as I do it and I get everything out of my head and onto paper, I feel so much lighter, but I just can't stick to it. I really struggle to do it. Like for a while there, it was like every New Year's resolution was like, this year I'm going to write in my diary every day. And then I think like going back in my diaries, I think it lasted like 3 days.
Oh my god,
Gave
that's so
up.
funny.
It
Well,
wasn't
you gotta
long.
start like smaller, right? And it like once a month and then once a week.
Yeah, I was a bit ambitious, a little bit ambitious, but it's interesting though because I've got like these really random days like sporadically spread out across my life. And it does show like real like snapshot insights into where I was at that point in time. You don't really see the evolution progress. You just go, whoa, she was pretty fucked then. And oh yeah, she was starting to like come around and oh nah, the shit was pretty bad again. Like it was just like really it's really intense. I actually want to do like a bit of a reading sometime of like one excerpt of my diary when I was in active addiction because it's wild. It's wild to read back on.
That would be really cool. I should actually do that for mine because I have like a bunch of journals in my nightstand in like one of the drawers now. And every so often I'll like go back and read them. And it's actually really funny and entertaining. So that's a
You
good idea.
should. You should. I'm thinking of a particular excerpt that I remember I read it like maybe last year and I was like, whoa, like so cryptic, like real dark. And it was just when I was in like the pits of active addiction. And it was strange. I obviously might have still been dealing with like even a little bit of psychosis at the time, but it was very like poetic, but like super cryptic. And I was like, she ain't right. She
Oh my
ain't
god,
right.
I want to hear it.
I'll definitely do it. I'll definitely do it because yeah, I find it a very fucking interesting read and just tapping into that type of headspace because I do remember sometimes where my head was at that point of time, and just to see where I am now, I'm like, God, that feels like a lifetime away. Like it doesn't even feel like me, to be honest, when I read that. Which it wasn't really my authentic self. I was a very unwell person then, but it's interesting. It's really interesting.
That's really cool to like reflect on your growth. I think that's really interesting to go back and read and then not even relate to it. I'll just do like fun journals. Like when I studied abroad in Madrid in college, and
Cool.
I did like a junk journal. So I would like write about my experiences and then like paste like tickets or coasters
I
from
love
from
that.
restaurants or like stickers or like random things like coins. I would like put it in the
That's
journal,
so
just kind of like
cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like a collage. It was kind of like
A
artsy.
scrapbook. Love it.
Yeah, I liked that one. And then when I was really going through it, when I was like really depressed and living alone, I accidentally found that journal and I would like read it before I went to bed and it would take
Oh,
me back to that time. And I really loved Spain and I loved studying abroad. So I was like, oh, this is so fun.
oh, that's nice. I wish my journals were a bit like that. I just read that. I'm like, whoa. Shit. Hectic. But no, that's really, really nice. I like also that you had a bit of the memorabilia like in it as well. Like, because I'm very sentimental. I do collect a lot of things like wristbands to concerts or like tickets to shows, and I just stuff it away. But I never do anything with it. So who knows? Maybe I could make a little book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you should do a scrapbook.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. So what kind of conversations do you hope to spark with your podcast? I think we've talked about this a little bit. We'll go deeper. And how do you think it's helping to change the stigma around mental health?
Yeah, so I want to spark like real, vulnerable, honest, raw conversations about people's experiences with mental health and also experts' advice on how to improve your overall well-being and your mental health and physical health. I mean, it's all tied together, body and mind. So I want it to be like easily accessible to those who may not be able to access therapy or who may not feel comfortable having open conversations about their own mental health, because I know like it took me a while. And I think podcasting in general is so cool because it's a low barrier to entry. Anyone can make a podcast about any topic, and it helps democratize like information about
Yeah.
all different topics. So I think like specifically my podcast is helping to normalize the ups and downs that we all experience as humans and hopefully destigmatizing mental health and like sparking conversations around it. And I'm hoping that people who may initially feel hesitant to talk about their own mental health or to seek help would feel more comfortable doing so after listening to the podcast.
Beautiful. And I actually want to slide another question on in here. I do this a little bit. I'm sorry. What I wanted to ask was what kind like are you interviewing people, and if you are interviewing people, like what kinds of people are you talking to, and what are some of the conversations that you are having at the moment on your podcast around this stuff?
Yeah, good question. So it's a mix of solo and interviews, more interviews than solo. It started just with like family and friends. So it's just like me interviewing different friends. And I have one with my mom. And specifically, that was like about her experience with depression, just like throughout her whole life. With friends, it's like about all different types of things. And I definitely ask about like different mental health struggles or periods that they may have struggled in their life. And then with the experts, it's anyone from like, I've had burnout and resilience coaches, I've had transformation coaches, a self sabotage expert. I interviewed an American Ninja Warrior. She was on there 6 times. Uh,
Cool.
She's super cool. Yeah, it was like about strength and resilience, and she had torn her ACL on national television, and then had to do a lot of PT, had to go into recovery, and realized she was neglecting her mental health. She thought she was at her peak, like health. She was at her peak
Mm.
physically,
Yeah.
but she wasn't mentally. And she realized she was neglecting it because then, obviously, when that happened, she got really depressed. She couldn't be as active. She wanted to compete again. And she ended up a year later, like working her ass off and getting to a point where she could compete again, but then also like taking care of her mental health.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think actually that's a really common one. Because I used to play, sorry, AFL like footy. And I find injuries are a really big one in regards to your mental health. Like if you're taking really good care of your physical health and you think like I'm really healthy, like look at me, like I've got all these amazing healthy like daily habits for my physical health. And then you get to a point where you something happens, like something happens to your physical health, like an injury or a sickness, and then suddenly you're on bed rest and it's not something you're used to. And then that's when your thoughts get you. And then you realize like, oh, fuck, like I'm actually not in a good place. And I've seen that happen a lot. Like I've seen that happen with long COVID as well. Like when people have gotten like really sick and bedridden for ages, and that's come out of just like nowhere for them. And then that's really been a challenge. I've seen that with neurological conditions like strokes and stuff like that. But yeah, that would be a really interesting conversation. I definitely want to listen to that. Send that to me later, actually, if you can.
I will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good to listen to.
All right, listen up, legends. If you're looking to experience the real Western Australia, there's no better way than with Why Not Bus, who is one of our sponsors. I've actually been on their tour, and let me tell you, it is awesome, awesome vibes, epic adventures, and I made lifelong friends. We're talking snorkeling with sea lions, manta rays, whale sharks, camping under the stars, and taking your time to enjoy the beauty of WA. Use my discount code PARIS2025 and get $300 off your next tour. Go to www.whynotbus.com.au.
So what daily habits or routines have you found to be most helpful in building your confidence and supporting your mental health journey? Like what do you do on a day-to-day that helps you the most?
Oh, baby. Okay, I got a routine. So
Let's write it down.
Everybody take notes. This isn't for everyone. I will say like different
Of
things
course.
like resonate with different people. But mine as of late is daily affirmations in the mirror to fight my inner critic and try to turn myself into my own biggest supporter subconsciously. And
Can you
then
give us an example?
Yeah, I say like a shit ton in the mornings, but a couple of them are like, I am confident, I am capable, I am important, I am enough. And you can actually record that as a voice memo. This is a idea that I got, I think from another entrepreneur who has an app called Activations, but she recorded herself doing affirmations in voice memos and then listened to it back and ended up turning it into like audio things in this app. But I did that and I will forget about it and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh yeah, I recorded these affirmations, and then I can just like put it on like when I'm listening with my headphones on a walk. And it's like really motivational.
Yeah, brilliant. And what else do you do with in your daily habits and routines?
So I do a lot of journaling that can be written and via voice. So I try to do daily journaling with Claude, actually, the AI tool, and I'll like prompt it to, I'll say like I'm doing a morning pages style journaling via voice, and I want you to extract the overall mood, key takeaway, high level themes, any open questions, action items, and next steps in a bulleted list format. So I'll get that download. And that was actually inspired by a former coworker and mentor of mine. And then sometimes on paper, like journaling to get your emotions out on paper, it helps me process them. And also like as a full-time entrepreneur, specifically journaling my recent wins, which I think was an idea I got from an AI tool.
Love it.
Yeah, it helps me because like as an entrepreneur, like the to-do list just goes on and on and on.
Oh, never ending.
So journaling my recent wins helps me acknowledge what I've accomplished rather than just focusing on what's left to do.
That's good, because I probably need to take a page out of that book, because yeah, I know how that feels to get overwhelmed with what more there is to be done, and then yeah, just not recognizing those small wins though, and acknowledging how much I have progress and what I have done.
Yeah, it's easy to forget for sure. But I also do meditation, helps me like pause and try to remain present. I use Headspace the most. You know that?
Yeah, no, it's great. I love Headspace.
Yeah, I love British and Australian accents, so I really like the guy. I think his name is Andy.
I love Andy. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's so good. His voice is so calming.
It is. I love listening to Andy. He's probably one of the main ones that I ever listen to with guided meditations. Otherwise, I just listen to frequency other than that. But no, Andy's voice is chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, that's cool because I can see with my Whoop, like so this wearable thingy, Whoop, it's connected to an app and it tracks my stress levels. So I can see
Okay.
my stress levels more often than not. It doesn't always go down, but I can see like when I meditate, I typically meditate for like 10-ish minutes a day, typically on weekdays, not like weekends. I don't know, I'm frolicking around DC on the weekends or somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can see my stress levels go down in the app, which is cool.
Yeah. So what was it called? Whoop, was it? Or Whoop?
yeah. Yeah, Whoop, WHOOP.
I've never heard of that. I'll have to look into that later. That's really
It's
cool.
like it's similar to an Apple Watch, although it doesn't have like a watch face. There's no face. It doesn't tell time. It's just like a strap with like what is it? Like a sensor underneath.
Yeah, that's cool though. I prefer for something to not have a face. I get too distracted from screens enough.
Yeah, their goal is to be like screenless and spend less time like focusing on screens. They don't sponsor me, but they really should. Whoop,
They
if you're out there,
should.
sponsor my podcast.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Is there any other things that you do that help like with your maintenance, or would you say it evolves over time? Like you change things as kind of you change, or how does that kind of look for you?
The past couple of years, it's been pretty steady. The other things that I do too is like working out and staying active. So sometimes I'll go to the gym. Sometimes I typically participate in social sports throughout the year, like kickball and pickleball now to both like stay active and then spend quality time with my friends and also meet new people because I love to socialize. So that's been pretty steady over the past couple of years. And then more recently, I would say maybe the past year or two, I've learned the importance of disconnecting from technology about an hour before bed. And it helps me like de stress. And then it's also like I'm not looking at blue light right before bed, which messes with your sleep.
Absolutely. That's really good sleep hygiene, actually, because, yeah, I just find screens in general are just totally overused. And I mean, it's something that I have to do every single day. Like I had to get these special glasses that block out that blue light and those particular artificial lights. Yeah, because they help my eye strain, because if I don't wear these and I'm looking at a computer all day working, my eyes are so sore and then I'll struggle to fall to sleep later just because of the pain. And sometimes it can trigger a headache or a migraine as well. But since I've had these glasses, no issues. My eyes feel fine. Haven't been having any headaches. No, that really helps.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but I'm very aware though that we can easily get like sucked into it. And it's just another form of addiction as well, right? Like the doom scrolling and whatnot. Like, what are we really nourishing our minds with? That's something that I've become really hyper aware of. And I also am aware that it's like dead time. We're not doing anything nourishing in that time. Like it's just literally dead time.
For sure. Yeah.
It's wild, but I love that you're being aware of that. And there's a lot of apps as well that are out there where you can set them on like duration timers to be like, right, I want to block out, I don't know, I don't want to go on this app for like a good 6 hours of the day. Like, can you lock it for those 6 hours? And I find a lot of people are starting to use that. And some people are even, have you heard of like, I think it's called like light phones, or is it light phones? It's basically where you can buy a phone that can sync to your smartphone, but this like light phone that you've got doesn't have any social media or any internet or anything. It's literally just calls and texts. So you could take this phone that syncs to your smartphone out and leave your smartphone at home, so you're not distracted by all the other, apps and accessories and things that are on the phone. So you can't take photos with it, but it's just the basics. It's just phone calls and texts. That's it.
Yeah, it's like the phone I had in middle school. That's cool.
Yeah, so I've seen a bit of a comeback with that, because I'm seeing that people are a bit desperate for it, because it is becoming a new addictive behavior. It's another addiction, and people are starting to kind of wake up to it. But there's a lot of work to be done in that area. But it's something that I'm looking at actually getting myself, is this, because I hate my phone. I hate it. Anyway, we're on a tangent now.
That's really cool. I'm interested to hear about your experience if you do that.
Yeah, I'll let you know. So, what's the most surprising or rewarding part of being a podcast host, especially when it comes to sharing stories about mental health and burnout?
Yeah, so I guess two things. Sometimes I learn deeply personal and meaningful things about my friends that I would have never known had I not interviewed them for the podcast. And sometimes I also get to share personal stories with them. So I think this strengthens our bond, which is really cool. And then on the expert side, so I also interview experts who are so interesting and come with like really cool insights in a space that like I'm really passionate about a topic that I'm super passionate about, which is mental health. Like, for example, like I know I gave some examples of who I've interviewed, but the episode that I just released a few days ago, I interviewed a transformational success coach who specializes in human design, which I didn't know what human design was before then. And there's like 5 types. So she was able to do a reading and figure out and explain my human design type, which I found fascinating. And I'm actually talking to her about running. I just had a conversation with her today, actually, about running a free workshop for my audience, probably sometime in August. So if people are interested, I think the best way to like stay in the loop with my stuff is signing up for the newsletter on my website, which is thenakedtruthwithlauren.com.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. And I love that you're putting on these workshops. It's something that I'm definitely wanting to do in the near future as well. So that's, and I agree. I agree in the sense that learning from others as well, like you, I mean, you only know so much, right? Like your knowledge is limited, but the more that you can learn from other people, I just feel like you're just forever expanding the more that you talk and you share with others. And yeah, I've had some really, really insightful conversations with people where I've even had like light bulb moments myself where I've been like, oh, fuck, like here I was thinking I knew it all. And no, clearly not.
Yeah, no, I love learning from others.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. So, looking ahead, where do you see the Naked Truth podcast going? And are there any exciting future projects or topics you're passionate about exploring?
Yes, always. So I see the business and wellness brand, The Naked Truth with Lauren, growing exponentially. I see myself interviewing more experts and well known guests to learn from their experiences and further destigmatize mental health and open up the conversation. Overall, I think I'm working towards a world where both physical and mental health are treated equally. I think that's ideal. And then I also see creating a community around the Naked Truth that's both accessible in person and online. And I'm thinking of like some sort of membership that facilitates meeting people and making friends where members can like learn and grow together.
I love that. And do you have like any projects like you're particularly working on now? Like I know you've got the potential workshop, but is there anything else you're kind of working on like this year at the moment?
Yeah, so well, I'm currently running a giveaway for a book that actually just it's ending tonight, but I'm going to run a giveaway for another book on a completely different topic by a creator who I am a big fan of. So that is coming up. I've also been talking about like collaborating with different entrepreneurs. So I'm talking to an entrepreneur I met from a conference I went to recently who I think she's an accountant and she has a lot of knowledge about personal finances and helping people with taxes and also QuickBooks. So it's a very unlikely pairing. We just like met each other and we seem to be involved in different worlds, but where there's money, there's always like limiting money beliefs and everything. I feel like everything has to do with psychology or there's like psychology behind everything. So
Agreed.
we're talking about like the mesh of our two topics and like potentially doing a webinar about that. So I think
that would be really interesting. Yeah, because that's something even for myself I've had to explore, because I grew up like in a really poor household. So I had that like poor mentality for so long. So I didn't realize I was creating my own blocks mentally from being able to receive money. Like, and that was, yeah, very much a real thing that was happening. And it wasn't until I started to realize that and shift my mindset in that manner that I then got a much better relationship with money, and I was just finding money was coming more freely to me after that. But yeah, it's really interesting. I love that you're going to be having those conversations. Definitely keep us in the loop. And so we just subscribe to your newsletter for that.
Yeah, so best place to
Okay.
stay in the loop is through my website. So it's thenakedtruthwithlauren.com. And you can subscribe to the newsletter there. That's the best place to like be on the list for future events and specific dates. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at thenakedtruth.pod.
Beautiful. And you're quite active on LinkedIn too, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been told to be more active on LinkedIn. So now
It's good.
I'm posting across the socials. For now, it's my personal LinkedIn account, but I need to make a business one soon.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You definitely got to post on LinkedIn. So if someone wants to listen to your podcast, where can they find it?
So it's on all platforms except for YouTube for now. YouTube's on the roadmap for the future. But right now it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Overcast, and Pocket Casts. And you can also find it like directly through my website or Instagram.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we'll have all the links displaying here and also in the show notes below so people can check it out there. And to wrap it up, if someone was listening and feeling like they're struggling with their own mental health, what advice would you offer them?
Great question. I'm also thinking about this question in two ways. So first, I would say talk to someone you trust and love. You can't keep your emotions bottled up forever because they're going to come out one way or another, like we were talking about at the beginning of this. So someone who truly cares about you will get you the help you need. And the odds are that they've experienced something similar or like struggled with something similar that they may share with you. And so that will help you feel less alone. And I think the other part is I am a believer that everyone could benefit from therapy at some point in their life. I'm not saying now, I'm not saying at a certain age, but just at some point. And I'm a big advocate for just therapy in general because I've personally benefited from it a lot. And then I know others who have also benefited. So I'd say look for a therapist if you're struggling. Try it out, and you're not going to vibe with every therapist. It's kind of like dating. You have to find the right fit. So like find a therapist that you vibe with, try it out, and yeah, give it a go.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Great advice. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Lauren. It was so lovely to have you here today. I hope you get some good sleep now after this. I'm assuming you're going to bed.
Yeah, TBD. I'm deciding if I'm going out or going to bed.
Going out? Oh, you're crazy.
My friend's having a birthday party and it's currently happening, but I also am like very exhausted from the day, so I might crash.
That's so funny. I can't remember the last time that I stayed out after 10 p.m. I did so much partying in my younger years. I'm already a grandma now. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, you went ham. Like you're all partied out.
I am. I'm like, don't ask me to stay out after 9. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, odds are looking slim that I make it out tonight, to be honest.
Oh, well, thank you so much again for coming on, and I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I loved our conversation.
Me too. All right. See ya.
Take care.